and welcome to KnightShift. I'm Nick Porcelli here at Edition Financial Arena, where tough, man, tough. Knights lose to number 8 Iowa State, 60-52. Where to start with this, Gabe? We've seen a lot of close games against some really good teams. The BYU's, the Cincinnati. A whole bunch of teams. But I got to be honest with you. I think this one might hurt the worst for Knights fans, because they had it, man. Once again they had it, and they let it go at the end. And this time, you could argue it was that because of them. Now, although I would argue it had more to do with Iowa State's defense. What do I mean by that? Let's read some stats. Let's start by saying this. Offensively, not a great game for either team. 21 for 46 shooting for Iowa State, 20 for 47 for UCF. Not the best shooting performances by their teams, and shooting is really why UCF struggled. We could talk about free throws. We've been talking about that all year. Wasn't perfect, but wasn't that bad. The key shooting stat that should stick out to people: 1 for 19. Yep, they made one three-pointer. And as a fan, I was hearing people say at the end, I'm not saying be afraid to shoot it, but there's a point where you got to realize, okay, this isn't working, we got to try something else. And I agree with that. Keep in mind, they had a lot of open looks and they just weren't falling, but there were a few times where it looked like they were trying to play hero ball and they're chucking the ball up with people in front of them. We can debate on whether or not they should have stopped shooting the threes, but here's the thing: they had a lot of open looks. Those in a close game, that would have been huge, but they couldn't hit it. That hurt them. Second reason the Knights lost this game: 22 turnovers. Very sloppy. And a lot of those turnovers came from the fact that this happened more in the first half, and it was not as much in the second, but still, it was there. Iowa State really utilized the trap. They would double team them in, and they would force UCF. They would struggle to get in the paint, and they would hold on, and the next thing you know, shot clock's down to 5 seconds. And they have to try to hurry to do something. That happened a lot, and that cost them, and that was a big reason for the 22 turnovers. That really seemed to happen a lot when it looked like they had a chance to get back in the game. UCF looked like maybe, especially in the second half, they were trailing by a little bit. Oh, maybe now they can cut it to a one basket lead deficit. Nope, they turn it over. Iowa State scores. And then the biggest thing was, in the second half, UCF, their biggest lead was 1. They couldn't get a lead bigger than 1, and a lot of that was due to their turnovers. But here's the big one. With about 5 minutes left, UCF's up by 1, and then they would not go on to score a field goal for the next 5 minutes. The final 5 minutes, they didn't go scoreless. They did make some free throws, but they could not make a field goal. That cost them. They had chances to either build on the lead, then they had chances to tie the game, and then they had a chance to get back in the game, and they just wouldn't fall. That cost them. That is huge. So all that put together, this team they did not have great offensive performances. In my opinion, this is probably their worst offensive performance. And I say that because if they they didn't need to be perfect, but they were just decent, they win because their defense was suffocating for them. Like Iowa State, number 8, only 60 points. They held them. They really did a good job of holding them. Iowa State was missing shots. They were turning the ball over. It was I think they had 17 turnovers. UCF had more rebounds than them. They were physical. They made it a struggle for them to get to the basket. They did their job on defense. That's why they stayed in the game for so long. But the offense just kept them from doing it big. And this hurts because we only got one home game left. We'll get to that in a second. But, they're coming in here. They got 2 straight wins, first winning streak in the Big 12. Those losses early in there killed them. And maybe you get this win, maybe hopes of making the NCAA tournament. A loss like that might have killed it. Now they have that bit. They got one more home game coming up. And it might be the big one, because as of right now, that team is Houston, who was currently ranked, as of right now, number 1, senior night. That win could change things. That, and of course, they would need to go on a run in the Big 12 tournament, but you don't want to take that risk when you're facing number 1. This was a huge chance for them to build their winning streak, really show that they were capable of playing great basketball at the end of the year, which is when tournament voters are looking at that stuff. And that didn't happen. This might have Any March Madness streams. NIT is still on the table, though, so who knows? But until then, that is a tough one. That is going to sting. The players, which you can see the reactions on the Black and Gold Banner YouTube channel, they are very upset that things just weren't falling, and that, man, what more can you say? I'm at a loss for words, as you can tell, because, I mean, another packed crowd. A lot of Iowa State fans there. I will give them credit. They traveled well to Florida, like 1,000+ miles away, but it was another plus 9,000 crowd. It was loud. It was electric. I was getting into the game up in the press box, and then when that final buzzer sounds, it's like my soul left my body. I am just so, like, out of it right now. It is unbelievable. So with that being said, I should probably wrap it up. You can follow me on Twitter at NixPorcelli2. And you can be sure to follow the Black and Gold Banner on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Threads, everything. And be sure to follow all our guys. Follow Kyle, Eric, Bryson, Jeff, all their links to their socials as well as mine, and all the links to the Banneret socials as well as our website will be in the links below this video. So from Edition Financial Arena, I'm Nick Porcelli. Knights lose a tough one, 60-52.